How are you? Welcome.
I'm good. How are you? You're, a bit slow.
Yeah,
We're opening the box today, Charlie.
yes.
So you
And
for, you know?
we're starting another session
Yeah.
for the next quarter.
We do.
All too soon, the first quarter has ended. You remember
Yeah.
January? We thought it wouldn't end.
Exactly.
And all of a sudden, January has ended and we're ending March.
Yeah. But how about we up our contributions, make it 20?
No problem. It's still our money.
Yeah.
So however we contribute, it's still our money. That's the most
Well,
important
good
thing.
morning to all of you. We're grateful that you could join us here on the AM show. If you missed the AM news, we've got the newspaper headlines. And what is topical the whole of the night yesterday and throughout the day today is Parliament, y'all.
And I love the way the news media carry the story. And if you look at the platforms, especially on multimedia and the way it was carried live, etc., you get to find that it was an issue that apparently people were very much interested in. And I guess what also brought a lot more drama were perhaps the responses of either side of the House.
Yeah.
And how they responded to the content of the report as presented by Joe Garte, who is the chairman of the committee. Of course, there had been concerns raised by members of civil society, other political as well as social commentators about whether the institution of Parliament should be its own arbiter on many of such subjects when they should come or as have come now, either now or in the future. So perhaps we can take a certain look at it, but ultimately, I would say that Joe Garte, in presenting the report, seemed to have done a very good job in the compilation of the report. But whoever was at the receiving end was Mahama Yariga.
Yeah.
And he didn't seem to be too happy about it.
Mr. Speaker, if you say I should apologize,
then I apologize.
Then I apologize. We'll be speaking to a man.
Can that deem to be an apology in itself?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. We know that things are hanging, but it's a man who we love to speak to when there are parliamentary issues. So Dr. Rashid Draman will speak to us from his base in the Gambia. He's out of town, but he's making time to speak with us on this subject, which is all important, really. What does this leave Parliament now? Does it mean that all the doubts that people had has been restored? Do we respect Parliaments, like we did? Is the standard at that same level right now after that report yesterday? And what do you make of Mr. Ayariga's apology, by the way? Well, we do have Dr. Rashid Draman of the Parliamentary Center joining us via Skype Live this morning from his base in the Gambia. Good morning to you, sir. We're grateful that you could join us.
Good morning.
Yeah. What time is it there, by the way?
At the same time.
Oh, okay. All right. Very well. We'll talk about why you're in the Gambia, but let's talk about what unfolded in Parliament late yesterday. You have the reports. You've read through it. So first of all, what do you make of it?
Well, it's the report of Parliament. It's a special committee. It's very difficult to criticize the report, so I'm not going to do that. All I can say is that all of us followed it, even if we didn't get a chance to follow the entire proceeding. We can all make our minds and decisions regarding what is contained in the reports. I don't know what reactions we are getting from Ghanaians right now, because I haven't had a chance to do this and to look at what people are saying on social media. But right from the beginning, we thought that our program with Honorable Lisa right from the one when it started, and I noted that perhaps it might be better to have an outside body look at this issue, so that when we get to this point where Parliament is clear, then we would have everybody be carried along, because if you have Parliament looking at its own scandal, and then you have this kind of outcome, sometimes it might be very difficult to to take it. But like I said, it's the Speaker's Committee. It has come up with a report. We take it as it is. What was clear that there were going to be two outcomes. Either Parliament as an institution is declared, and in that case, Abu Erga is left hanging, or Erga is cleared, and that is Parliament image dented. And I think we got the second outcome. What I was very worried about was yesterday I was speaking to TV3, the Hit News, and he played an audio. I couldn't see the video. They played an audio about what happened subsequently. You know, in the history of Parliament, we've been seeing this happen in many countries where sometimes issues get down to physical fights and chairs and weapons thrown at each other, and so I never thought that in our Parliament, and so it only muddied things. And the outcome of this report, I think, is going to divide our Parliament for a very long time to come. I mean, more so because we have a First Deputy Speaker as one of the principal actors in this. He'll be presiding over the affairs of the House many times of the 7th Parliament.
But Dr. Draman, the fact that you don't want to criticize the report means that you have some reservations, though.
Well, like we said, I mean, from the beginning, we would have to see an outside body do this, because the work that we do is about strengthening the capacity of Parliament so that we can have a body that can provide the necessary oversight for those who handle resources and those who have a mandate to govern us. And so at all times, we want to see an institution that everybody can trust. And you know, there are so many polls that have done in the past, and so many issues have come out of our Parliament which were not too good for the image of the House. So, I mean, I thought that this was a unique opportunity right at the beginning of the 7th Parliament that the leadership have seized to ensure that we had a clean start. I don't know whether Ghanaians, a majority of Ghanaians, are comfortable with the outcome of the committees. I mean, if Ghanaians are comfortable with it, then I think Parliament's image is clean. If Ghanaians are not comfortable with it, too bad for Parliament.
So as it is now, we don't know what to make of Mr. Ayariga's apology because the Speaker has not ruled on it. But I don't know if you've had the opportunity to listen to what he had to say. The fact that it was supposed to be, you know, go all out and apologize unreservedly.
Yeah, I listened to him. And you can see that certainly he's not happy with the outcome of the report. And to quote him, he said, "Mr. Speaker, if you say I should apologize, I apologize." So it means that he is not apologizing out of his resolution. And he doesn't see himself as having done anything wrong.
Is that an apology in itself?
No, it's not. I don't think it's an apology. I don't think so. I don't think so. So we wait to see what Mr. Speaker will say today, because the committee recommended a range of actions that the House can take, from reprimand to expelling him from the House for some time, so on. And I think the Speaker took the call it maybe the list of the punishments that's announced. And yesterday I could see the speaker was not happy during the time that Honorable Ayariga was making submissions.
So where does that leave Parliament in itself? Let's talk the minority, because it looks like yesterday when Mr. Haruna Iddrisu spoke, he commended the committee's work, which meant that he agreed with the outcome of that report. And then Mr. Alban Gbagben also rose to speak. Now, what Mr. Ayariga said, in a way, kind of contradicted what was expected of him after, you know, the leadership, if you like, had spoken. Is that some kind of division even within the minority?
But right from the beginning, it was clear that the minority was divided. It was very clear, and for me, that's very worrying. Because you see, at the beginning of this parliament, we thought that, first of all, the New Patriotic Party was handed a mandate that was clear from Ghanaians, that we don't want business as usual. We want a different parliament, we want a different government, we want things to be done differently. And I described that mandate as a mandate for oversight, accountability, and transparency. And the minority's role is one that is a group that should lead Parliament in these efforts to ensure that it holds the government to account, ensure that we have transparency in all dealings. And so, and if you have a minority that is divided, then I think it's good news for the majority. And clearly, that is what is happening right now. Because right from the beginning, if Honorable Muntaka said no, what Honorable Ayariga was saying is true. Honorable Muntaka is a leader in the House. So I think this is not good for the minority, and overall, this is not good for Parliament, because you are going to have a number of minority MPs siding with Honorable Ayariga. I don't know how soon they can forget. So for a very long time, I think we are going to be in trouble as a country in terms of expecting the minority to be united, to provide credible opposition, to provide effective oversight, and to lead the cause of holding those governors to account. I mean, we can't expect, and we can't rely on the ruling party to check itself. I mean, that is not done anywhere in the world. And most of these things that have to be done in terms of holding the government to account would have to be mostly initiated by the minority. And if you have a minority that is divided, then some bad news ahead.
Let's talk about the first deputy speaker, who also happens to be the chairman of the appointments committee. Is his integrity intact now after this report?
Well, on the basis of the report, yes, his integrity is intact because the report has cleared him. But in the court of public opinion, I don't know what to make of his integrity. But on the basis of the report, legally, I think his integrity is intact. But it's up to you and I and everybody to decide what to make of it, how we see him.
Would you recommend that the minority, the members of the minority on this committee who made the allegations or corroborated, should they still remain on the committee, considering how Mr. Joseph Osei-Owusu himself has come out to say it's difficult working with them on the committee?
Yeah, Mama, that's difficult. And I have said several times that, yes, the speaker is human. You know, having people who have made allegations that go directly to affect your integrity, it becomes very difficult to sit, I mean, on the opposite side and look at them, smile and work with them. But I think on a professional kind of note, the right speaker think, should try and get over this, because at the end of the day, they still remain members of parliament. And if he doesn't work with them in the committee, he's going to work with them in the House. And you don't want a situation where when he's presiding, they will find it very difficult to catch his eye and make their contributions to the proceedings of the House. So I think, particularly for the leadership, they would have to try and put this behind them, one way or the other, in the interest, because we hired them. We hired them to work.
Looks like we've lost our connection there with Dr. Rashid Draman. But, you know, we will touch base with him later on in the course of our program. We've been talking about this parliamentary bribery scandal and a report subsequently that's been released. Extensive work that the Joe Garte committee did and the responses that have come out of that. Quickly, we'll just run through the newspapers. Let's start off with the Daily Graphic just before Benedict, who's on standby, comes with the latest update in sports. On the front page of the Daily Graphic, brawl in Parliament, Ayariga faces contempt, 3 exonerated, Universal Merchant Bank earmarks $100 million to support One District, One Factory initiative. Dr. Addison, we talked a lot about him here on our network. Dr. Addison takes over as Governor of the Bank of Ghana. There's been a statement that's been issued accordingly from the presidency appointing him as the governor of the Bank of Ghana. Back page of the Daily Graphic, it tackled illegal mining to save lives. FAO edges government. That's the Food and Agriculture Organization. All right, that's it for the Daily Graphic newspaper. Roland will quickly do the Times.
And we have the Ghanaian Times. On the front page of the Ghanaian Times, we have Ayariga guilty of contempt. Gate committee. You have a picture there of Mahama Ayariga, member of parliament for Boku Central. UMB gives $100 million towards One District, One Factory. So it's a seed money, it's at the bank. If you bring your good business plans, you qualify, and they give you they look through the feasibility reports, they look at the return on investments, and they look at how you hope to rein in your cash, etc. And you're able to tell them convincingly how you can be profitable or not. You access part of the $100 million. I think that's a good initiative by UMB.
Yeah.
And that's good. Supporting government and complementing efforts. But it's not free money.
Yeah,
Mamavi.
definitely not. Yeah, Roland, let me just quickly say that we want to conclude our conversation with Dr. Rashid Draman. We lost him briefly. Dr. Draman, if you can hear me, we were on, I think you were making a point there about the leadership of parliaments.
Yes, the line is a bit tricky, but I don't know whether you can hear me.
Yes, we can, loud and clear.
Yeah, so I was saying that one way or the other, the leadership, particularly the deputy speaker, would have to try as much as possible professionally to get over this, because even beyond the committee, he'll be working with these honorable members anytime he presides over the proceedings of the House. And you want to make sure that, you know, there are no problems about the fact that these people, these honorable members, can participate in the proceedings of the House. Because at the end of the day, I mean, they all have to remember that we Ghanaians hired them to do work for us. And they have a duty to work together, put their partisan politics aside, and put whatever divides them aside, particularly, I mean, in times when they have to come together and do the work that we hired them to do. Otherwise, I think Ghanaians are not going to be happy about about that.
Finally, Dr. Draman, Mr. Ayariga, what else could happen to him? Apologize. What else could Mr. Speaker do?
Well, I believe in the interest of unity, in the interest of getting the House together and moving on, I just hope this issue remains at the level of an apology, particularly given what happened in the House yesterday and the kind of emotions that are rising, and so on. I mean, anything beyond that, I think it's going to create more problems and further divide the House.
Do you expect him to stick to the kind of apology he rendered yesterday, or you're expecting a total apology, one that doesn't say, if you want me to apologize, then I apologize?
Well, I think at the end of the day, you see, I would expect that hopefully maybe Honorable Ayerga will also come around. This is a committee set up by the Speaker, and Parliament is a master of its own rules. And sometimes when these things are delivered, whether we like them or not, I think I remember when during our electoral Supreme Court proceedings, when the ruling was made, at the time the opposition leader, now our president, said clearly, I don't agree, but I accept the decision of the court. And I see some parallels in this. Honorable Ayerga might not agree with what the committee did, but it's a committee of Parliament, and at the end of the day, until you have another outcome, that's the outcome that you have to live with.
Dr. Draman, we're grateful for your time this morning. We'll talk some more later, but thank you so much for speaking to us here on the AM show on Joy News. And that's Dr. Rashid Draman, Executive Director of the Parliamentary Affairs Center. It has a lot of insight on parliamentary issues, and his take on this is absolutely important. So we're grateful to him that he could share his thoughts with us.
And we're also grateful that he was on the line, because he made some important or critical point for which, if we want to do further discussion on it, perhaps we can expand the narrative. The thing is, should Parliament be its own ombudsman? Should it be the body that investigates its own if they have a certain difficulty such as this? When it crops up in the future, what kind of precedent have we set? Now we have one side, or one of the main protagonists in this whole story, not happy. So how do we assuage the feelings? And Dr. Draman pointed out that the minority or the opposition in Parliament needs to be strong to be in a position, as always, to perhaps defend what the people or the masses need, as against what the government and its majority in Parliament would bring to the House. So a divided minority doesn't bode well for our democratic dispensation. Now, thirdly, also, what do we take from this as a people? Is public opinion divided on the subject beyond the divisions we have in Parliament? And it's something that he pointed out that perhaps we can also look out for. What do the public think? Perhaps we also need to do some critical research on this and see what the public perspective would be and whether it matters at all in the early days of the NPP administration. Yeah,
I guess all those will be unfolding today, because it was a bit late yesterday with the rains and the winds and all. So we get a lot more comments on social media, particularly yesterday. And I guess that apology that was rendered will be trending as well on social media. So expect it on your WhatsApp group sometime today. You done with the Times?
No, we were not done. And so we're just talking about how UMB has given $100 million as seed money. It's in the bank. It doesn't mean that it's going to be going to any institution. They may give it to an institution or a body that has been set up to oversee this, but it will be in the bank. And those see to the disbursement in a way based on what the institution or the trade ministry will be saying the disbursement should be. But of course, you need to satisfy certain prerequisites or certain requirements before you access. Other stories on the front page of the Ghanaian Times, we have Obi Amwa dares Woyoma over Waterville scandal. We know that Obi Amwa, who is a member of Parliament for Ikuapem South, has been nominated as a deputy minister also, has in many of the speculative reports been accused of having received some amount of about $75,000, which purportedly is said to have been coming from Woyome. Whether he received that money or not is another issue, but he says that he's daring the man. If you think I have received it, come and prove it. President appoints Addison as new governor, and Mama, we were told that this Addison is apparently the brother of Philip Addison, who is a lawyer.
Yes.
Good.
But I guess the connection is not being made exactly because he is more of a politician, and so, you know,
Yes, I'm also not making that
Okay.
connection. Yeah. Police forward dockets on 13 Delta Force members to the Attorney General's department. You have a picture there. We're told one of the leaders of the Delta Force, Kwame Bamba. But on the back page, plan to improve technical vocational education launched. And then we have MTTD impound 626 motorbikes in Accra. And they were impounded in the Accra metropolis in a special operation on Thursday.
All right, let's do the Finder, front page of the Finder newspaper. In poster, UN staff exposed 1.5 million Ghana cedis transfers he received lands him in court. All right, also Dr. Ernest Addison to be named Bank of Ghana governor. Well, too late. He is actually being named because the appointment has been made. HFC Bank wins most successful change management award. Minister cautions WASI candidates against cheating. And 559.40 Ghana cedis NSS, that's National Service Allowance, takes effect April 1. What we do know is they are not backdating. So from April, you can begin. So if you're doing your national service, receive an amount of 559.40. That's a record, actually. Some of us got 150 Ghana. All right, Roland.
So we have the story, again, dominating the front page of the Daily Guide. No bribe. Ayariga guilty of contempt. Mills' brother bombshell. We have a picture of Kadma Mills. And then we have I never received Oyema cash Obiamwa. Addison is new Bank of Ghana governor. Center spread though. Interesting stories there. Next time we need to be taking. It says, my first day in bed with Yvonne Nelson. And Ian is just trying to milk the publicity for his career, I guess. He's been on and on about it on the internet in various interviews about how
my God.
he misses Yvonne Nelson, the elegant Yvonne Nelson, etc., etc. I think it's all part of the show business thing he's doing. His career has not been as enjoyable as other artists of his like Davido and Wizkid will be enjoying at the moment, or even the current.
Roland, it's okay. Can you close the page?
Runtown.
Okay.
He's in a nice designer brief too, Porsche design. Mama, I would advise you get one of these for your husband.
Let's do the Daily Dispatch newspaper. We're done with that. Daily Dispatch. We're taking Benedict's time. We've got to run.
This is so unfair.
Front page of the Daily Dispatch newspaper. Remember your director is also he should keep his body and keep recounting.
Look at me very little.
He should move on. Tell him to move on. Yvonne has moved on.
Everybody's macho. Look at here.
Okay, we're not doing that. Front page of the Daily Dispatch quickly just before we run. Kadman Mills on Star Charts opens up on causes of Mills's death. For those of you who've been asking lots of questions, I guess you can read details of that story because this full story is in the paper this morning. Kwabena Dufo was a competent finance minister. That's according to the ex-president's brother, Kadman Mills. All right, we don't have so much time, so we would encourage you log on to myjoyonline.com and read more of the stories on our online page. You will also get to know if you missed the proceedings in Parliament yesterday with regards to the reading of the reports on the bribery allegation. You can also catch up on myjoyonline.com. Just before we run off and make way for Benedict, though, we've got our last match contribution of 10 Ghana cedis each into this box. This box you see right now is going to change because we're going to open it up and count how much. Roland, where's your 10 Ghana? And then we're going to have a new box. We're going to outdoor our April box. But we have an investment person, Mr. Frank Wache, coming through in the studios at 8. We're going to open the box and count how much we've been able to make. And then we'll bring our board in studio. Today we're doing some maths. Not serious maths. But he's going to tell us what we can use the monies for. And he's going to do like a chart. So if it's treasury bills, if it's the other investment opportunities, how much he can estimate that we'll make at the end of the year if we don't touch these monies that we've been able to make. So all eyes right here on the AM show the whole of today, 8 a.m.
So what's the new box?
You to wait, la. 8 a.m. You see our new box, and we'll tell you how much, because we're going to break the box and tell you how much we've been able to make. We hope that you are on this journey with us all the way through the end of the year. Stay with us. Benedict is right up with sports.